this book rejuvenated my desire to read. Now you must be thinking, how does a Final Fantasy VII book rejuvenate my desire to read? Well, number one point, Tifa. That's the only reason you really need, but I have an actual reason and I'm going to talk about it. Before I do talk about it, I'll let you know that you can get this book in the description down below from bookshop.org, which is a company that works with local bookstores. So when you buy from them, they help kick back some money to local independent bookstores, which is great. Now let's talk about how Traces of Two Pasts, a Final Fantasy VII Remake story, rejuvenated my desire to read. It's not necessarily that it is a Final Fantasy book, although I have said before that I'm a massive Final Fantasy nerd. I just finished Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, and I loved it, and then go back to working my way through all of the Final Fantasy games, but it is the fact that it is a fiction book. The last 7 books I've read, bar maybe one, but that's still kind of non-fiction. The last 7 books I've read have been non-fiction books. And I'll be honest, reading so much non-fiction back to back to back kind of brings me down. It's difficult to get through non-fiction books sometimes, especially for someone like me who's not the, sharpest tool in the shed. And then a lot of the topics I read about are frustrating for me personally. So, switching up to a fiction book, one that is, again, so full of joy and laughter and fun as this one, and also Tifa, really makes me feel much better. And there's actually studies saying that reading fiction books makes you a more empathetic person, and there's kind of a reason why the reading split of non-fiction to fiction books is slightly different for men and women. But also because they'll try and aim fiction style books towards women when it comes to the mass market of books, whereas they don't really try and do that as much for men, which I think is sad, because even books that are marketed for women, dudes should enjoy. Everyone should be able to enjoy whatever you want to read. If you want to read a, dark academia book, if you want to read a poppy romance book, if you want to read a book about Tifa, then you should be able to, regardless of how you identify. And I sincerely think that I'm going to spend a time reading some fiction. I say that, but I know there's at least one non-fiction book I definitely want to read, and I definitely want to read some of these football books as well. And I'm going on holiday, and the books I'm planning on taking with me are non-fiction, but I'm going to try and fit more fiction in, because when I was younger, all I read was fiction, and it was great, and I think it shaped me as a person. And shout out to my dad for being like, you have to read as many books as possible when I was a kid. And now I have all the books everywhere. But I genuinely think having that nice split is really great for you. If you're a person who only reads fiction, try and read some non-fiction, just because that frustration sometimes it brings you is good, in my opinion, and sometimes it widens your horizons. And if you're a person who reads primarily non-fiction, please, for the love of God, read some fiction, because you'll feel so much better. Even if it's a sad, depressing story, I'm talking Bridge to Terabithia, I think it will do you a world of good. So try and balance out your fiction and non-fiction reading. It would be really great, maybe if it's a 3-to-1 ratio, it's better than 4-to-0 in either direction. And yeah, I was really feeling a slump when it came to reading. I didn't really want to read. It took me a long time to finish books that would normally take me about 2 days to read. It took me a week and a half. But then I decided to read this, and not only did Tifa save me, but just the fact that it is a fun fiction book, which obviously it helps that it is part of a subject that I hold dearly in my heart. But this book has saved my desire to read for the foreseeable future, and I love that. So I want to say thank you, Tifa Lockhart. you make everything better. Thank you for watching this video. Hey, if you're reading a fiction book right now, comment it down below. Maybe it'll be something I enjoy. If you are also a fan of Tifa, I mean Final Fantasy, also let me know in the description down below, or the comment section even would be easier for you. If you want to pick up Traces of Two Paths, the Final Fantasy VII Remake story, I add that last little tagline, I think it's quite funny. You can get it in the description down below from bookshop.org, who work with local and independent bookstores to kick them a little bit of money from every sale that they also make, which is great. Thank you for watching. Like, subscribe, share the video with a friend or family member, and hey, I hope you read a great book today, and I hope it's about Tifa.